Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, the original K-State sports show. Here's your host, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, Fitz and Gills, for another episode of the original K-State sports podcast. It's the questions podcast, the people on the website, the thingy we actually do for a living. They get asked the questions because they're paying the bills in this joint. And then everyone gets to listen. If you're not subscribing to GoPowercat.com, you should be. Don't be a loser. Join Ryan Gilbert and Fitz at Non-Loserville. I need to work on that ad a little bit, Gills, but I think it expressed my desire for them to be subscribing to the website.
You didn't include Cole or Grant or John or Ethan or Big B or Monty in Loserville?
It's just about us.
Okay,
so here's the drill. I just kind of explained it. We got the questions loaded in. I will read those questions with my eyes, which aren't very good, and then we'll answer those. Made this way too hard, Gills. Just way too hard. Here we go. First up, it's from Mr. Tossback. Given KU fans are still upset over falling short of expectations last year, is Saturday a chance to knock the legs out from under the Lance Leipold program? It's an outstanding question. Give me your thoughts.
Excuse me. I apologize because I've said this a lot, and this will be my last Go PowerCat appearance talking football before the game. So this will be the last time I say it, but Kansas State cannot keep getting these close wins over KU. At some point, right, Kansas is going to get over that hump, and this really is perfect opportunity for the home team in Lawrence to do that. So to sweep the rug out from under them and to win by a couple scores would really deflate that program and maybe give you more confidence moving forward that the streak can go for 20, 25 years. But as of right now, KU has KU's favored, right? You don't need me or Fitz to tell you that. This is good as K-State is technically going to have to pull off an upset in this game. So, yeah, you can't just keep squeaking by this KU team. I've said it so many times, but this is a great opportunity to maybe not bury that KU program. They're going to be around, but if you win this game handily, that's defeating for KU.
Yeah. I agree with you on a number of things there. I'll say this. If you squeak by him again, first of all, don't bother playing the lottery. You're not going to win. You're using up all your good fortune in beating KU, which is a good use of it. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think that, back to the question asked by K-Ned, a.k.a. Mr. Tossback, that I don't think it's a matter of that would finish him off. I think if he did it again, it would just continue to feed it. The reason I go to here is there are some similarities between Lance Leipold and Bill Snyder. I don't want to get carried away with that. We know what Bill Snyder did. But I think Coach Leipold's done a really good job. But this kind of feels like his Nebraska, where it took Bill Snyder a long time to get that taken care of, to finally beat him. And I don't know if Lance Leipold will be there for that distance, but if they only win another squeaker, it won't finish them off. If K-State goes in there and definitively wins, makes him understand that this wasn't close, that might actually really damage them. And there's a third wrinkle here. I didn't count my first two wrinkles. I think there's two wrinkles there. That Jalen Daniels, in theory, is done after this season. And this will be his sixth game or sixth season with the K-State KU game. I don't know which ones all he played in. But they know he gives them their best chance to win. I don't know who the next guy will be, but Jalen Daniels, as a veteran playing pretty good football, this is their time. It's got to be. If they don't do it, I think they'll know they blew an opportunity.
Number of reasons for Daniels to come back for one more year, right? Now, what he wants to prove or money, it doesn't matter, right? But beating K-State, come on, Fitz.
It's got to be in there.
Got to be up up near the top of his list. And everybody in that program that respects him, right? We talked about this on Monday with the players. Like, if you're not from Kansas, maybe you don't grasp the rivalry, but look over at Jet Deneen and how much it means to him or anybody else from the state of Kansas. So that's how that exact same message Fitz is going to be resonating in KU's locker room as well. Let's not just get sucked into this K-State centric approach to this game. It means a lot for both ways.
So we've made a big deal, and we should, about KU's effectiveness on the recruiting trail in this 26 cycle. I think not only is it important for them to get some of this talent out of the state of Kansas, but to change this equation, to bring guys in that will value it equally with Kansas State. And not just in one man's passion for this game. The collective sense of this locker room is dominated by Kansans. And we got to do it for them. That's been absent. And this one class won't solve that, but it'll certainly power them a lot closer to that. We're down to your very, very roots, your walk-on program, all the way through your starting players, our K-Staters. And this game is really important to me. Or Kansans, excuse me. This game is really important to me. I don't know.
I agree.
We'll see. Next up is from King Jim 77. Chris Kleiman praised the OL in his Monday presser. What are they key to actually pulling off an upset of KU? KDO is not good. Am I reading that wrong? Are they?
I think it's
key?
right.
Are they the key? I totally read it wwrong. Yeah.
I proofread everything. I thought it was an okay question.
Man, I thought I was going one way and it went another way and it blew my mind. Yeah. I think there's a lot of important details here, but let's be really honest. The offensive line can't be bad, and they're going to beat good teams. Period. That doesn't matter if it's KU or TCU. They got to be good. You got to be good because, bluntly, Joe Jackson isn't a make-you-miss kind of guy. He's a give me an opening and I'll charge through it kind of guy. So in the earlier rendition of K-State's offensive line, they had to have the make you miss guy, make you miss. And Dylan Edwards would do that. And I think Joe Jackson can be really effective in this game if he's got some room to operate. I think maybe some of the young guys come in relief that might be a little bit closer to Dylan Edwards, certainly not as developed or as good as him, but might bring some of that to the field. My fear is as guys get healthy on the offensive line, they'll be tempted to work them back in. These were the starters. After all, these are the guys we thought were the good ones, and ignore the fact that they haven't been the good ones. The good ones are the ones that came in their replacement. I hope they stick with this group. They found a good group, and if they mess with it and mess up the offensive line, you know what? That'll be, once again, coaching malpractice. We'll see what happens.
To kind of regurgitate what Big B said, not only in his weekly piece on the site, but also on Monday on the Insiders, the easiest path for probably either team to win the game is by Kansas State doing exactly what the question lays out. There might be more avenues for KU to come out with a win, but the most viable option is for Kansas State to do exactly, control the line of scrimmage with that offensive line. And it's reasonable to expect that to happen. After the way the last three games have gone, you're finally maybe gaining some of that continuity. Now, you're not seeing all five guys in there for every single snap. There is still some rotating. I know Kleiman said a few weeks back that they're never just going to get to a true five and have them play every single snap, which, Fitz, that's frustrating in my eyes, but it is what it is. You can't hope for that. That's just not going to happen here in 2025. But yeah, easily. This is, I wouldn't say it's the key because you still can win in other ways, right? If Kansas State goes and gets two defensive scores, probably going to come out on top. If you go back to that special teams mantra, you have a good chance of winning. So based on what we've seen in 2025, yes, KU and K-State, but there are other ways K-State can win this game, but the easiest Fits, absolutely go run the ball.
Go run the ball and find a way to frustrate Jalen Daniels, who's been much better this year. I didn't realize how dramatic his numbers are. Last year, over the course of the season, the entire season, he threw 14 touchdowns with 12 interceptions. 7 games in, he's at 18-2. So he has radically redone his decision-making in the pocket. I think his receivers were better last year. Maybe that was part of it. He thought if I go through the ball here, they'll go get it for me, and that didn't work out. He's completing 70% of his passes. This guy's finally kind of found his groove. And if K-State lets him get into that groove and they run the ball with some effectiveness too, this is going to be a scrap. They're going to have to find a way to disrupt him, but also K-State's got to lead with that offensive line. Whether that's Joe Jackson, one of the young guys running, or Avery Johnson. They're going to have to run the ball effectively because they give up gobs of running yardage in losses. Gobs. Now, if you don't know how much gobs is, apparently it's 400 or more, because that's the kind of yardage they've been giving up in the rushing game.
That's why you tune into the PowerCat podcast for
gobs,
for words like that.
I know. It's kind of deep scientific stuff I pull out just to impress people. I'll press them with this next question. Cat and Colo, I think the talk of Avery being soft is crazy. No QB survives the pocket, and being sacked at this level being soft. I say he's smart, knows his limitations. Why is that a bad thing? No, I'm not. I've never really said he's soft, but I think he's been trained to avoid contact too much. Soft for me is, maybe I have said it, is on a third down when it's a must pickup, you turn your shoulders. You don't square up and hit someone to pick up the first down. You know what? I think the best thing happened to him in the last game. He slid too soon again at a first down marker. So in his mind, he just ran for 12 yards, but he ran for 9 because that's where the slide started. He stopped sliding after that. The slide is great for you're in an undetermined point of the field and you don't want to get hit. If you're trying to reach a first down, you can't be sliding, man, because you're giving up yardage by your slide. So that's just the way the rules work, and you got to adjust. So I think he learned a lesson there, Gills. I can't be sliding at the marker. At least he learned it for that game. Hopefully it takes over. But we saw a little bit more of a fearless Avery Johnson after that decision was made.
This isn't the NFL, though, with their question, right? Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, these guys are getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, let's not kid ourselves, Fitz. Avery Johnson is the most important player at Kansas State. His NIL he's getting paid the most.
Yep.
But you're not on that level, right? Kansas State, yes, I get it. The season is probably over if Blake Barnett or whoever's starting and Avery's out for the year. I get that. I really do, but you've got to lay it on the line. If that's the thing, though, Patrick Mahomes, we've talked about this many times. He's a guy that will lay it on the line. But if you're a quarterback, I mean, how many rules are there in the NFL that protect the quarterbacks? Things they added in to keep those guys healthy. If it's a quarterback in the NFL who's making a business decision, nobody's going to necessarily bat an eye, because that the importance that player has for their team outweighs the potential risk. Now, also, if it's a guy like Mahomes, like we talk about, going and getting hit for extra yardage, nobody's going to bat an eye either. My point with that is Avery Johnson's not at that level. He needs to go out and get hit. If he gets hurt, that's tragic. It sucks, but you've got to go lay on your body on the line, right? So it's one thing to play smart and play safe at times, but also when it's third down and you're near the sticks, you've got to get past the sticks. Now, Cole would be very proud of me for this. I'm going to do another analogy here. I was very into play-by-play broadcasting when I initially started to study journalism. Now, every single play, you don't have to be at a 10 out of 10 on excitement, right? If it's a 1st and 10 run up the middle, all right, you're very bland. You're Joe Buck, right? Now, when your home run play hits, that's when you're Gus Johnson and you're over the top. Avery Johnson does not need to put his body on the line every single play, but when it's third and important late in the game, that is when you turn it up a notch, and it's 10 out of 10. And that is when we have not seen Avery Johnson assert himself the way that he needs to.
To build on that,
on a consistent basis. There have been times.
Yeah. I think the NFL, I understand that the NFL quarterbacks are making business decisions, and in some ways, Avery Johnson is too, considering he's looking at his career, let alone his current NIL. But the NFL is also looking at you as a college prospect. Is he favoring business decision over winning? And when you're not putting it all on the line at a crucial point of the game, when a first down's needed and you're not reflecting that need, they remember. They don't want that. They want someone that understands the risk-reward equation. The reward here isn't enough for me to risk injury. I'm stepping out of bounds. It's the fourth quarter. It's third down. If we perpetuate this drive, we win. The risk-reward is now in favor of the risk. Take it. That's that snapshot, split-second decision the great quarterbacks always get right. And as a Chiefs fan, I'm sorry if I exhaust you with Mahomes, but he is one of the most valuable players in the entire game of American football. And he understands this one, I'm putting my shoulder down and running through that guy. This one, I'm stepping out of bounds. He's got that down, and that's a big reason why he wins so many games. He gets that split-second finite decision. Now is when I do it. And he understands that almost more than the defenders. The defenders still seem surprised when he turns it upfield. And why, I don't know. But it works in his favor. And I'm just, as an aside, I'm always a huge fan of the pump fake 5 yards beyond the sticks. You know, like you can't throw the ball from there, but it's instinctive for that defender to try to jump to block the pass. You've been trained to do that. It's muscle memory. And he takes advantage of that too. The great quarterbacks do.
Baker Mayfield, real quick. I mean,
yeah.
If you're an NFL fan, just watch him play. He's having an MVP year. And also Fitz, BYU, quarterback run to the end zone. How much would that electrify the sidelines for Kansas State if you saw Avery Johnson do that?
And here's the thing is, Bear's a true freshman, and he already has that. Mm-hmm. He already understands that. It's a form of leadership that goes beyond even certainly words and even beyond actions. It's a sense of leadership that displays potential sacrifice. You know, I'm not just trying to pick a first down. I'm putting it on the line. I'm putting my career on the line, the season on the line, everything on the line, because that's how important this is. And that sends a message to your teammates too. We actually sound like we know what we're talking about there.
And getting banged, we talked about this maybe more last year. You get banged, you get that big hit.
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to energize you and turn you up a little bit if you're Avery Johnson quarterback.
I think it has with Avery. He talks about the big runs early in the game, gets him going. I think he's been living in too sterile of a quarterback environment. He's like been outside of the game to some degree, you know, manipulating, almost like he's playing a video game. He's not really in the game, but he's controlling the game. And he gets out there and runs or gets hit or does something like that shakes him into the reality. No, I'm present. I got to be here. I think it helps. Domercat, if K-State plays a true A game, can anybody in the Big 12 beat them? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to read too much into unlike AP voters last weekend with what happened to Texas Tech. That was a backup quarterback thing. They just weren't the same. They didn't play their personality. And again, I don't know how many times I've seen this. Your quarterback style of play reflects on your team. And I don't think Tech was quite as mean and nasty as they have been. They let Arizona State dictate that game, and that hadn't happened to them. Now, Utah might be a different case. I've been writing that off as a K-State loss, in part because it's in Salt Lake City. But now they got a couple losses. And and they've got losses to teams they'll be in tiebreakers with. So the chances of them making Arlington now are dwindling. And if they take another loss, I don't know, have their schedule in front of me. They take another loss between now and then, and K-State starts rolling. Okay. But keep in mind, next week, K-State has Tech. So if K-State has a big win, will that deflate them, or will Tech show up? I appreciate Domer's Cat's approach here, but I'm still not confident this team has it. That Bear Brockmeyer, you're going to set my sack on the table and make a play. You know, I don't have that sense from them that we're going to give it all up. And if we lose, we lose, but we're going to feel it in the morning. I still don't think they have that yet. I still think there's too many things going on in their universe that are distracting, but they're getting closer. But also in his defense with Domercat's question is, I don't think they've played anywhere near a true A game. I think TCU is a B-. So there is a lot more that this team can offer. But can they get there? Do they have the testicular fortitude to make that happen? I don't know. But I sure would like to find out over the next 2 weeks. That'd be fun.
I'm in my own head here.
Okay.
Pull up the question real quick again.
Okay.
Is he talking about like Texas Techs and Arizona States, or is Domercat
anybody,
your West Virginias and
anybody,
your UCFs, right? I get
Yeah.
both sides because the Big 12 is just so unpredictable, right? But Kansas State, part of the frustrations of this season is you've seen the high upside in Waco. Avery Johnson was phenomenal as a passer, had the mistake when, you should just run the football, right? Those kind of derail your games. But like overall, take a step back. The passing game was in flow, right? You've seen the explosive defensively. I mean, Fitz, this is back-to-back games where K-State has had multiple turnovers on defense heading into this KU game. So you've seen the high upside here and there, getting it all to come and click together. Kansas State can absolutely, you can write the story of this team beating Texas Tech, beating whoever that, the best teams in this league are. You can also write the story of things falling apart the way we saw against Army and against Arizona, where you can lose to literally anybody in the Big 12. So it's more of a testament to this league, but I guess if I read the question correctly, right, Kansas State can win over anybody in this league when things are clicking. The challenge is getting all the cylinders to kind of go in sync.
And I don't think they've become close to that. Gotten better at that.
B- is a little harsh. I get what you're saying for TCU, but that's K-State football. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, yeah, I can't get around the fact that as good as the offense was in the second half with ball control and putting points up, they went 27 minutes without scoring. They went almost the entire first half without scoring.
True. Very true.
And I think they've got more to offer. So this one's a good one. Ricky Tiki Tabi, as Dylan Edwards played his last snap with Kansas State. If I had to guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Okay, let me put it this way. His initial injury happened in Ireland. And after that, he missed the North Dakota and Army games and attempted to play at Arizona. Okay? So 2 weeks and then an attempt to play from the initial injury. They get the off week after the Arizona misfire because he only played a few snaps before it hurt too much. Then they get the off week and he plays lights out against UCF. It's Dylan Edwards. It's who he is. And then something happens. He limps off the field. Apparently he got mad at the coaches for thinking he was injured when he wasn't injured, but it turns out he was injured or just hurt or something like that. And now he let's call what the Baylor game Iowa State. Then they played TCU, right? That's the North Dakota game. Then the off week represented the Army game. So his injury is now worse than it was before. He's got to take more time off. It doesn't make sense to me. There was never any point in the Baylor game when everyone said, he's done. Ooh. No, he just kind of hobbled off a little bit. And the coach just said, okay, if you're injured, we're going to go with Joe. But he pushed back on that on the sideline and got really upset. Everyone who watched TV saw his demeanor over there. If I'm going to be really honest, if he's hurt so bad he has to miss 3 games basically with 3 weeks, get an off week in there, just shut him down. I mean, I don't understand. I don't see how he's that injured that he can't play, that he's a no-go. And we're recording this on Tuesday afternoon, and we don't know what that availability report's going to say. But everything we got out of the Monday press conference is he won't be available for this game. If this kid can't play hurt, well, hold on. If this kid's so injured he can't play against Kansas, then he's really injured. You got to figure out what's wrong with his foot or ankle or whatever it is. If he's too hurt to play against Kansas, screw him. You can't get motivated to go out there and play an arch rival, a game that growing up in the state of Kansas, you know the importance about. So now I'm honest to God, folks, I'm beginning to question whether it's number one priority is playing for Kansas State this season, because he's at the 4 games that allows you to redshirt, and one more snap ends that. Sitting here, you cannot convince me that's not part of this equation for him. Like, he could probably play against Kansas, but what if it doesn't work? What if it still hurts and I have to shut it down again? Now I've lost my red shirt. Now, what complicates this is the fact I don't know that he really cares about a red shirt, because in his mind, I think he thinks he's ready for the NFL, and the entire world is holding him back, whether it's Uncle Dion or big bad Chris Kleiman. Everyone's holding him back instead of him having his full and opportunity that he deserves. I'm not sure he really thinks he needs a red shirt, but I think he also knows he needs a good season. This ain't how you prove it, man. If I'm a coach, I'm looking at this like, are you ever healthy? Well, why am I going to spend a scholarship on you? I think some of these guys that think they're going to have all the same offers they had out of high school or when you left as a freshman or whatever the events have been in your career. I think some of these dudes are going to be really surprised at the offers they don't get, or the offers they do get, but it's going to be as this little limited role. So yeah, I don't know if he's done, but if he's not playing in this one, he's got to be pretty close to done, either because he's too injured or he's just wasting your time. That was a long answer.
Bravo. Kleiman on Monday said, and this was more in regard to the KU game, that it's an added bonus if Edwards does play. That's not how I would view the KU game. Fitz, that's how I would view the rest of the season. If Edwards does come back and play, that's the added bonus. Not just for this game, but if I was a fan, I wouldn't get my hopes up to see Dylan Edwards play. I just wouldn't.
No. If you got a buddy that you keep asking to go have a beer and they keep canceling on you, they're not invested in that relationship.
Hey, Fitz.
Yeah.
You want to go have a beer?
No, I can't go with you. I don't like to be seen with you.
Happens all the time.
I know. Go Stay Kate.
It's our 2-minute drill question, by the way.
Oh, this is the 2-minute drill?
Yeah.
Okay. Most impressive win streak, K-State's current football wins at 16 or KU's basketball streak at 31? They're kind of the same, aren't they? I mean, granted, you gotta do it twice a year in basketball.
16 times 2 is 30. 32. So,
but well, let me say this. The last time K-State won in Allen Fieldhouse, I don't remember the year.
06.
06? And that was a fluke. That was a fluke. I mean, there's no way that wasn't a fluke. So that half of the equation, those 15, 16 games, whatever, that's set in stone. That K-State wasn't going to win. Every other game that was played at Bramlage Coliseum, that's impressive, even though it's hasn't always been an intimidating environment. Still, strapping it up for 16 years in a row in football, the ball bounces funny, strange things happen, and K-State keeps winning. And in the early phases of that, there was a level of dominance to it that I think earn wins 15 and 16. It so ingrained itself into the culture of Kansas football that you lose this game. They've managed for 2 years in a row to lose a game they should have won. Maybe that goes the other way too. The culture of winning this game prevailed the last 2 seasons. But I'm after all that, I'm going to say I think they're equal. I think they're equally impressive. I'm not going to diminish what University of Kansas did to K-State in basketball because it was incredible, and equally incredible as this. Get to 16, okay, that's 32. Yeah, win 17. I'll pick the football streak. Yeah, 17 will do it for me. That's all I want. 17.
I've been watching for some work I'm doing with our show with Clint Stewart. I've watched probably a half dozen games from 07, 08. Now, I'll be honest, I don't have the knowledge of the Tom Asbury or the Jim Woldridge days. Fitz, you could be better versed there, but like those environments from the games I watched, holy crap. Like Bramlage Coliseum now, with all due respect, is a shell of its former self for a Big 12 game. For KU this year, I think it'll be wrong, but wow, some of those games were incredible. So for KU to go in and win in some of those, in Huggins' year, like later atmosphere, like later years, those atmospheres, that is a hell of a lot more impressive than going to Lawrence in 2017 when Beatty was the coach. I don't know if that's right, but you know what I mean? Like going into Bramlage and winning in some of those atmospheres is far more impressive than going to Lawrence. I'm sorry, K-State fans, but that's my honest opinion.
I think you're right. So you picked the basketball streak.
Yeah.
I think it's a tie. We actually kind of came out in favor of KU on this one, didn't we? What kind of homers are we? Ryan Gilbert, Cole Carmody, and Grant Snowden will be on hand in Lawrence for the KU K-State game due to staffing, I guess is the only way to explain it. I'm sitting this one out. I wanted to go see the damn stadium, and Gil said, you got to stay home, man.
Oh, I can FaceTime you.
No, it makes sense. Cole needs to be there because there'll be a lot of Kansas recruits on the field during the pregame. He's our recruiting guy. It's important to be there. And Grant and Ryan Gilbert are going to Columbia on Friday night. Makes sense to stop in Lawrence on the way back. And someone needs to host the postgame show. And I just found out yesterday that I may not be able to host with Big B because it's his Halloween party. I know this is a sports podcast, but let's get into this a little bit. This is Big B's big event. Him and his wonderful wife, April, this is their show. A Halloween party. And the game's at 11 a.m., so the post game will start about 2:30. And he informs me yesterday on the Insiders, I might be in costume. What time's the party start, Gills? Is this an all-day thing?
I need to get there just in time to see some of Big B's friends.
They don't want to see you, though. That's the problem.
No.
What are you going to do? Dress up as a dork? Oh, yeah.
Here you go. Here's my outfit.
Yeah, you got it. I gotta hit up Monty Spiller to see if he's going to be sober, because I think there was more that if you're wearing your Halloween outfit at 2:30 in the afternoon, you've been drinking. or you should have been, or there's something really wrong with you. I worry about any couple that has a Halloween party as their big thing, because they celebrate the being able to dress up and act like someone else and not be yourself. In their off time, I'm not going to go there. I was going
to say, on YouTube, we can see our viewers, right? When people stop watching.
Yeah. This will be interesting. Anyhow, I'll be on the post-game show duties. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great game in Lawrence. It's supposed to be rainy as of this recording, which will really limit K-State because they've got a history of bringing the wrong shoes to games. I'm just going to point that out, and then we're going to leave. We're gone.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.